There is no need to think further. When it's gone, then it's bygone. There is no need to think further. It's just a form of karmic difficulties. We just make a conclusion towards ending by the discarding itself. That's all. Let go of the letting go itself. Keep the eyes and ears, gates of perceptions inside and outside opening as usual, simultaneously, inside and outside. Let's conclude through Nirodha and Nibbana instantly. Use the conclusion of the reminder as usual, as a guidance. Because when there is a maintaining and drowning within oneself, detained within oneself, we have to use the guidance of the reminders. Discard the discarding itself only. There is no need to think of checking how the state of mind is. Use the reminders more often. This is the reminders that give ending within itself, that purifies itself, that dissolves itself. It directly dissolves itself. So just use these reminders only. The reminders that has no expectation. Discard the discarding itself. Continue to use these reminders. For everything, discard the discarding itself. Then it will gradually remove from any state that is drowned, that is maintained by itself. With everything, discard the discarding itself. It's impossible also to use that many sentences as it's going to be a burden. Let go of the letting go itself. Let go of the letting go itself. There is no need to let go of anything. Discard the discarding itself instead. It will give ending to all the practice for liberation, for detachment. It will purify the practice for detachment or attachment. Discard the discarding itself. Remind oneself more constantly. It will give ending to all the complication within the path to the enlightenment. It will end all burdens within the path to the enlightenment. The path or the results will not be taken into account as a burden. It will give ending to the path for attachment or detachment, Nibbana directly. Discard the discarding itself instead of discarding something. There is no need to try to discard anything. There is no need to try to discard itself either. Discard the discarding itself instead. To try to discard something, we are fixated to it, to discard, because that is the samudaya of the path, the cause of the karma of the path. Discard the discarding itself. Don't discard any state of mind or anything whatsoever, because that's going to be a path, and then it will not be ended within that path. Discard the discarding itself, it will give ending to the path, to the attempt to the path, to discard, to attach or detach. Just keep on opening the gates of perceptions. It will be gradually opening anyhow. When we try to discard something, it's like we reject samsara. And to go back to bliss, it will be difficult. Discard the discarding itself. Samsara will not be rejected by us. Instead, they will receive the great compassion. To be obsessed with trying to let go. Therefore, instead of let go of the letting go itself, there is a separation, there is a division. Let go of the letting go itself. Discard the discarding itself is the same thing. Don't discard anything. Discard the discarding itself. Tell oneself like this. Then it will give ending to both the discarding and the attempt to discard, because this is the gross level of the samudaya. If we start with just discarding, it will not be blessing samsara at all. So we have to again inspire to bless beings, because samsara is awaiting for being blessed. Discard the discarding itself is simultaneously proceeding with everything. This is simultaneous benefits for all, for oneself and others. With this, samsara also receive the infinite force simultaneously. The form of karmic difficulties, they are bygone. It's done and it's bygone. We just have to make a conclusion through Nirodha and Nibbana instantly. By this essence, by these keynotes. Discarding itself is by Nirodha and Nibbana as it is automatically. This is not about someone who is trying to be in extinction or enlightened. This actually purify the attempt to be enlightened or to be in extinction. This is not a personhood who is enlightened or extinction. The obstacles is the attempt to practice, to walk on the path, the attempt to discard, to let go, to give up, or to detach. This is the real obstacles, is the samudaya in the worldly and in the way of Dhamma. In the worldly way, this is the samudaya, is aiming to gain, to lose. In the Dhamma way, is aiming towards letting go, towards giving up. This is the desire, is the same samudaya, the cause of suffering. Therefore, if we conclude in this way, it will give ending for the samudaya in the worldly ways, in the Dhamma ways. There will be no complications. Otherwise, these belief values will continue onwards, have to lead each other towards letting go, towards discarding this and that with efforts. Use these reminders only. Don't use efforts. Don't use actions. It's just a thought. It's just a reminder. That's all. By using the reminder or these thoughts, it will happen automatically, accordingly, all by itself. With the reminder, the ending will be right there on its own. It's impossible to use the act of discarding because it's still a practice. It's still a path. That means this path is being formed up, is made up, is fabricated. It's fabricated. This is not an act to stop, to discard. Just use this reminder. The act of discarding and attempt to discard will be ended all by itself. It will give ending to both discarding and the attempt to discard all by itself. Let's be thorough. It's not an act of discarding Nibbana is not derived from that. Discard the discarding itself is because there is still an attempt to discard. It's not about stopping to discard or not discarding. This neither about stopping or refusing, discard or discard, not discarding. Is the thought that purifies the belief values, the reminder that purifies the opinions or viewpoints. The word discard, the discarding itself, let go of the letting go itself, are the opinions or the words that purify themselves. They purify the viewpoints, they purify the belief values. When there is this reminder, the purification is already right there. If trying to push forward stubbornly to discard something is not yet truly discarding. Neither is about trying to discard or not discard. Just use this thought. This reminder is a great compassion in itself. The reminder that has the essence of Nirodha and Nibbana within itself. So use this reminder only, because it's a conclusion that is there. The trying to fight or to escape is a war. It's a kind of war. We just have to stop this war, give ending to all quarrels and conflicts. The attempt to attach or detach is a quarrel. It's a conflict. This is stopping and ending the quarrels and conflicts. Discard the discarding itself. Who is it that is discarding or not discarding anything? It will give ending towards the personhood who is doing such an act or not acting. Just giving ending the samudaya, that's it. The Buddhas reflect about the samudaya, ending the samudaya, and that's it. It will give ending to everything, all that path. Just ending this path, and that's it. Ending is right there for everything. There is not much. It ends within no time. End all the thoughts. For the part of all those struggling so much is because of the karmic difficulties. All that making the body and the mind in difficulties with such an effort. Torturing body and mind in this way and that way to be in difficulties. They made it up. They made it up. These are all about the cause of suffering, and it is the suffering in itself as well. This has nothing to do with the enlightenment or Nibbana at all. Otherwise, just one sentence by the Buddhas, there won't be that tremendous numbers that are enlightened by just one sentence. Not attached to the non-attachment itself. It's not about not attached to anything, for example. Not attached to the non-attachment instead. Then it will be truly non-attachment. Not about trying to not attach to anything. Just use the thought. It will happen on its own. Just this thought, not attached to the non-attachment itself, it will happen according to such a thought. This reminder or this thought is a conclusion. Everything will be concluded accordingly. This is the conclusion of Nirodha and Nibbana. It's a conclusion for the Samudaya, and it will happen accordingly. The word conclusion means ending the Samudaya, giving ending to the Samudaya, the cause of suffering and the suffering. The attempt to not attach will be gone all by itself. Trying to attach, to not attach, will be gone, will be over automatically. That is the ending of the Samudaya. We have to use this reminder more often, because the karmic difficulties of the Samudaya is a lot as well. So don't try to anyhow to let go of the Samudaya, because there is the Samudaya within the letting go itself. Listen well. The one sentence that is Nibbana, that is Nirodha within itself. There is not much. Ending the time to go around already. This conclusion has been done in every Buddha era. This is the conclusion of every Buddha era that is given. It makes samsara to not grabbing any angles, to make methods and ways. It's wrong to grab something that is not about grasping. It is giving ending to, but trying to grab that is not ending. Holding on towards something that is not to hold on, grasping something that is not about grasping. So this is the conclusion. No matter how many deaths of karma, in every Buddha era they have to pay back in various forms, in the form of making the body and mind in various ways, teaching each other to be struggling, making samsara to teach each other in the way of struggling. This is karmic difficulties. Therefore, don't go around indirectly, ending this time already to go around. With everything, let go of the letting go itself. The non-attachment will happen on its own. This is the reminder that doesn't stimulate to grab, to aim forward. This is the reminder that purify the present. It's the reminder that doesn't grab the present itself. It's purify the grasping mind within the present, let alone the future. It's purify the grasping mind at present. The reminders that doesn't grasp the present is purifying the present, to not grasping the present. The path that is made up by the Samudaya, which is the karmic difficulties in itself, that which is made up as a path by belief values, by viewpoints, this will be ended. These kind of belief values are the karmic difficulties within themselves. They are the karmic difficulties of viewpoints and belief values. All of these will be purified. What is reflected here, it has nothing to do with reaching or not reaching something, enlightening or not enlightening. This is not to point out, to create samsara's viewpoints. It's not about going around. Each time that there is a reminder, it's ending right there instantaneously. It's not to make oneself going around and around at all. the reminder or the thought that has to be often there because it's gonna be beneficial for samsara. They will hear it. Ending will be simultaneous altogether. It's also a direction in blessing simultaneously for samsara. It's linking for everything and everyone in this samsara. Even sitting still, it will be linking to each other. Even drowning individually, passing by each other, drowning individually is also linking to each other. Therefore, use the reminder that ends within itself, then samsara will end accordingly. It is the great compassion. That's why we need to use the reminders. It is helping through ending simultaneously. There are no steps. We proceed simultaneously with samsara. Do not try to get over anything. Do not try to make something disappear that is deceived by the desire and viewpoints. Titi.